Hey everyone, this is Brian from ActiveMelody.com. Well, in this week's guitar lesson, we're going to take a look at a Cale style lead. Now, I've got lots of email requests for me to do a lesson on his style, and so as I was kind of studying his style of playing, in depth for this week's lesson, I realized that he's got a very simple but melodic way of approaching lead guitar, and I think it's pretty genius in a way. Some of the notes that he plays really do complement the music in a very unique way. So if you're a beginner and you want to get into learning how to play lead guitar, a blues lead guitar, this would be a great one to jump in with because it's very simple. There's not a lot of speed. He played without a pick, just sort of with his fingers, very laid back style. And so we're going to take a look at the lead part and split that over two videos. So in this video we're going to learn the first half of the lead. If you want to watch the second half of the lead or learn how to play that in a video, you're going to want to go to ActiveMelody.com and look for EP103. And you'll be able to download the tablature as well as the jam track to practice along with, which is really key to get the timing and everything. And you'll also be able to watch the second half of the lead. In addition, as a bonus to premium members, you're going to have access to the rhythm part. Now the rhythm part is a whole lesson in and of itself because it's a finger style rhythm. So if you're interested in learning how to play finger style, kind of a Chet Atkins, Merle Travis style finger style where you got the walking bass played with the thumb, this would be a good one to start with. In fact, just real quick, let me play through it one time so you can see what it sounds like on its own. So this would be something that would be cool to play with two guitars. You wouldn't even need a jam track. If you've got one guitar playing that and then another one doing that kind of laid back Cale style lead, it would sound really good. So anyway, a lot of material to learn in this week's lesson. Make sure you check out ActiveMelody.com, EP103. But let's go ahead and start with the first half of the lead. Alright, so let's talk through tone before we jump into the specific licks. I am playing on the Telecaster. I have the pickup selector switch on the neck pickup. The tone and the volume are all the way up. I'm running through a Tube Screamer, which is by Ibanez, although you don't need any pedals for this. But it's just easier for me because they're running into the camera. So I have Tube Screamer, Ibanez. I have the overdrive all the way down, and I'm running that through a flashback pedal, which is a delay pedal by TC Electronic, and I have just a little bit of slapback echo for kind of a vintage echo feel. But like I said, you can play this on an acoustic guitar. You don't need an amp or pedals at all. But that's what I'm using in case you're curious. Okay, so very simple setup. The chords in this, there's three chords. There's an E chord, a G chord, and an A chord. So the structure goes like this. You have an E, you have a G, and you have an A. It's more of an A7. And that just repeats. And I'll show you how to play this rhythm, this finger style rhythm, in another video. Also part of EP103. So just scroll down the page at Active Melody and you'll see the whole finger style rhythm part, which is actually a lot of fun, I think. So that's the first part, E, G, A. The second part is the same three chords, but I just switched the order of them just to make it a little more interesting. So we started with the G to the A to the E. G, A, E. Anyway, same three chords, just wanted to switch the order. And that's something that you can remember if you're, songwriting or whatever. You can take the same chords that you're working with and sometimes just, if it's starting to sound too repetitive, switch the order of them. Find something that makes sense, but that can give it a whole different feel. And that's kind of what happened here. So, okay, so those are the two different parts. Now, when we get into the lead part, now I'm using my fingers when I'm playing this. I'm not using a pick. If you're not comfortable without a pick, just use a pick. That's fine. I just thought I would do. I haven't done a lesson that's showing you how to play lead without using a pick. I don't think I have. So as I was watching JJ, some videos of him playing, and I just realized part of his tone and his approach is this sort of unorthodox kind of. Just a lazy kind of way of approaching it. It almost looks like you can tell he didn't have any lessons or anything, but that's part of the charm of it as well. And so there's something cool about the tone that he gets from being able to pluck, you know, as opposed to pick. Picking is very precise, and plucking, you know, you get different tones and things. So just try it if you've never done it. You'll find out it's actually not that hard because this is very slow and there's not a lot of fast runs or anything. So, okay, so the first thing that happens is this lead. Now, let me show you the notes and then I'll show you where they're coming from. So, we're going to start by sliding with our middle finger from the 2nd fret up to the 4th fret on the 3rd string. And then playing on the 2nd string, 3rd fret, and then doing a hammer-on to the 5th fret, 2nd string, like that. So you can see I'm only plucking 2 notes with my right hand, and they're notes that I'm using my thumb on the 3rd string, and then I'm using my pointer finger on the 2nd string, and that's how that part sounds. Now, where do these notes come from? Well, we're playing in the key of E. Remember, the first note chord was an E. So the E minor pentatonic scale, this is the way I always think of it. I always find the blues, kind of the blues version of something, and then I work wherever else I need to go out of that. But the minor pentatonic scale for the key of E would look like this. Pattern 1, rather, would look like this. Because the nut would kind of really be our root fret, if you're thinking about how you'd finger that. So in other words, if you were up here on the 12th fret, an octave higher, you can see that our 12th fret becomes the root fret, because that's where all those notes end. Well, you know, we have the nut in this case. So pattern 1 is here. So that means pattern 2 would be here. That's that little box, kind of like the B.B. King box, or Albert King even. So those 5 notes are part of pattern 2 of the minor pentatonic scale, pattern or key of E. So when I played this, you can see that's right in pattern 2 of the key of E, minor pentatonic scale. That's why it sounds bluesy. Okay, so as we switch, there's one other scale will be in the major at a few points, and I'll call that out. But that's why this works here, and this is where most of what we're going to be playing is happening. It's right down here between pattern 1 and pattern 2. Okay, so you got that down, right? Now we're going to go. Okay, so what we're doing essentially is we're sliding from pattern 2 right back to pattern 1. So we start that by 3rd fret, 2nd string, and I use my pointer finger to pluck that. Isn't that cool how you get that different tone as opposed to picking it with a pick? You get that pluck feeling or sound. Then I use my thumb here and I go to the 3rd string, 4th fret, and I slide down to the 2nd fret, do a pull off, and then a hammer on. Now the hammer on happens on the 2nd fret, 4th string. See, let me do it slowly. Now I'm going to go ahead and pick it up again by playing that note after I hammer it on so that I can play it twice. And I use my pointer finger to hit it the 2nd time. Now watch this, then it sort of trails off like your voice does. And this is all spelled out in the tab, by the way, but I'm going to do a pull off there, and then a hammer on to the 5th string, 2nd fret. Okay, let me back up and play all those notes slowly. We have. Okay, so if we put the 2 pieces together then, and then I'll show you the timing of this. I know timing is very important, but you can start to feel it a little bit, like even without any accompaniment. So let's talk through the timing. So this first note comes in on the 4. Let me show you what I mean by that. So if we're counting, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where that one comes in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. So that one comes in on the 2. So the first one comes in on a 4. The second one comes in on 2. Let me count it again, just so you got this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Okay, then the second time through, we repeat 1, 2, 3, 4. So then, but then there's another part that goes. So that changes a little bit. So it, that's the little difference in the second time through. So, but the first part of it is exactly the same. So we've already covered that. Now let's move on to this little part. Now this is interesting because you can tell it sounds different. It's got a more of a happy feel, maybe you notice that, and that's because we're switching to the major pentatonic scale for the key of E. Let me show you the notes, and then I'll show you how this works and where it's coming from. Okay, so the notes. So these two notes are like this, right? You have this little shape here. This little, I can visualize, you know, almost like a diagonal line between these two fingers. So this, you take the same thing and you slide it up 1, 2 frets to play these two notes. So this is a 6th fret 3rd string, and this is the 5th fret 2nd string, and then back to the 6th fret 3rd string. And that's, you can tell it's got that kind of B.B. King. This is a place that B.B. would work from. In fact, it would be interesting for you to take the jam track and see what kind of B.B. licks you can work in, because I've covered that in other lessons. In fact, last week's lesson, 102B, I have a whole B.B. thing, and we're playing in this box. So try that out if you haven't, if you want an extra challenge. Okay, so that's where we're at. Now, why does this work? Well, this is the pattern 4 of the major pentatonic scale of the key of E. Pattern 4, not pattern 1 or 2. So here's what I mean by that. So if we said, well, wait a minute, so what's pattern 4 of the minor pentatonic scale, key of E? Well, pattern 4 of the minor pentatonic. So this would be pattern 1. Pattern 5 would be. Pattern 4 would be here. All of this is covered in the blues lead course at activemelody.com if you want to know what these patterns are. But so pattern 4, remember, of the minor pentatonic scale, bluesy, from the key of E as a reference. You can see how that sounds kind of bluesy right there. Well, remember, to get to the major pentatonic scale, we always slide down or towards the head of our guitar 3 frets. So we go 1, 2, 3. So now look at these two notes. That's those same notes that you just learned. So that's why those are major pentatonic scale. Just that's how we got to where we did. Now that's kind of a roundabout way to do it. An easier way to think of it maybe would be just know that when you're playing these two notes, which is straddling the pattern 1, pattern 2 of the minor pentatonic, you could always just go up 2 more to get to the major. Isn't that kind of nice? You can even hear it with your ear. So if you can hear how that's sliding up to a different feel. So anyway, that's what I did. So now I rounded that out with a little hammer on there, so it happens on the 3rd fret 2nd string. So I start with the open B string, use my thumb on the 2nd string, then I did a hammer on to the 3rd fret 2nd string, and when I hammered on, I pushed it slightly sharp like this. Hear it? And then I played that open 1 string, or the open E string. So all together it goes. Come down and hit that low E if you really want to kind of finish the thought. But okay, let's talk through the timing of this. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember that comes in on the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. So this one comes in on the 4 as well. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. Now this comes in between the 3 and the 4, so it's considered the AND note. So it'd be 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. You see how it's on the and? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, and. So that's how you want to think of the timing. Remember, on the 4, and that comes in on the and between the 3 and the 4. Okay, so now do we need to back up and let me just do that real quick, just as a recap to where we are at this point. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 1, 2. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, and 3, and. Okay, so that's the first time through. Now, the second time through, we have this little thing where we switch the chords, right? So, once we go to the G chord, you have 1 and 2 and 3 and. That's what we're going to learn. Let me just get the timing of it. 1 and 2 and 3 and. So it comes in on the and of 3. So 1 and 2 and 3 and. Let's learn those notes. So we're starting on the 3rd fret, 2nd string, pointer finger to pluck it. And then we're going to come down to using our thumb on the 3rd string, 4th fret. And we're going to slide, as soon as we play that, we're going to slide right down to the 2nd fret. Then we're going to take our fingers off the fretboard and play the open G string. Okay. Now watch this. Is that, you're going to pluck that 3rd string, 2nd fret, hammer, or pull off rather, hammer on to the 4th string on the 2nd fret. And then watch this. To conclude it, we play the 3rd string, the open G string, and then we just hammer on to the 2nd fret there on the 3rd string. So that's how you're going to want to practice. Let me do it slowly so you have this. You watch my right hand. You can see I'm using my pointer finger for most of that. So just remember the timing of it. It comes in on the and of 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Then it comes in again. It goes. And for that part, it basically starts the same way. 3rd fret, 2nd string. We're going to do the slide down from the 4th fret to the 2nd fret. The open G string. And then, this is where it changes, so or it's different. So we're going to go to the 2nd fret, 4th string. Play that note, and then watch this. There's that little trail off again where we do a pull off and a hammer on the 2nd fret. So we're pulling off the 4th string, hammering onto the 5th string with our middle finger. So 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and. 4, 1 and 2 and 3. We're going to repeat it. So that part repeats. And then to conclude it, I came up here and went. Now look at where we went. We went right into pattern 2. In fact, we just walked right up that pattern. Starting here on the 4th fret, 3rd string. We go to the 3rd fret, 2nd string. 5th fret, 2nd string. So the first note we start with our thumb. Then we're going to use our pointer finger. And then our pointer finger again here. We're going to come to the 3rd fret, 1st string. Now when I hit this note, I'm going to push it slightly sharp. I come down and play the 5th fret 2nd string, play that note twice. Now, you could play the open E string, so some of you may be asking, why wouldn't you just play that? The reason I don't play that is because I don't have the control. So I can give it a little vibrato there. You just have a little more control, and it keeps it within the box. And I think I concluded it by just trailing off 3rd fret 2nd string. And that's how that second part sounded. Okay, so let me play through all of that. We have 1. Oh, the timing of this little last. Let's get to that too. So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. So it's 1, 2. So that comes in on the 2. 1, 2. Actually, that comes in on the and between 1 and 2. 1 and 2 and that. I'm sorry. So it does not come in on the 2. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so that's a mouthful, but I think that you've got all the notes that you need to get through that first half of the solo. Now, if you're not a premium member and you don't have access to the jam tracks and stuff to practice with, find a recorder and record yourself playing E, G, A, or A7, back to the E, if you wanted to do it that way. If you want to learn the finger style, I'll show you that, but you got to be a premium member for that one. So, alright, so we'll move on to part 2 of the lead in the next video.